A former world champion is now officially a free agent, and a top AEW star quits the company. But first, let's get to some stories from last night's episode of AEW Dynamite, where the face of the Revolution was crowned. The show would open with a chaotic ladder match with a shot for the AEW TNT Championship on the line, with Eddie Kingston, Ortiz, Powerhouse Hobbs, Sammy Guevara, Action Andretti, Konosuke Takeshita, AR Fox, and Commander fighting it out for the brass ring. In the end, Takeshita would come close to winning the match, however he would be cut off by Powerhouse Hobbs, who managed to retrieve the brass ring himself. AEW TNT champion Samoa Joe would then leave the commentary booth to confront Hobbs, this before he was cut off by his next challenger Wardlow, with the two set to battle this Sunday at AEW Revolution, with Powerhouse presumably taking on the winner of that somewhere down the line. Later in the night, more title contenders were named after there was a Casino Tag Team Battle Royal match to fill the fourth and final spot for this Sunday's bout for the AEW World Tag Team titles. After it was ruled that best friends duo Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor were not medically cleared to compete, Danhausen and Orange Cassidy would take their spot before going on to eliminate the Butcher and the Blade to walk out as the winners. The win follows Cassidy's successful defense of his AEW All-Atlantic Championship earlier on in the night against Big Bill, with him now set to fight to add a second title to his collection when he and Danhausen take on the Acclaimed, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, as well as tag team champions Colton and Austin, the Guns, this weekend at Revolution. Last night, a report would emerge from Fightful Select that revealed a number of pitches that have taken place during the build-up to WrestleMania in regards for a match for Brock Lesnar on The Big Show. It was noted that at various stages, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bobby Lashley, and Gunther were proposed. This before WWE eventually settled on a match for Omos, which was confirmed this past Monday on Raw. With that said, the report notes that a match between Bray Wyatt and Brock Lesnar was also on the table at one stage. However, Lesnar was against the idea, with Fightful noting, "We're not sure necessarily when Bray Wyatt was pitched as Brock's possible opponent for WrestleMania, but he was mentioning it as recently as right before WWE Elimination Chamber." Sources familiar with the situation claim that Brock himself nixed the idea, though we weren't given specifics as to why. Dave Meltzer would then add some further details to the report on Wrestling Observer Radio last night, with him revealing that Brock rejected the match after the recent Bray Wyatt promo that saw him set his sights on whoever won the match between Lesnar and Lashley at Elimination Chamber, leading to a change of plans being forced. And Meltzer would say, "Originally what was going to happen was Brock was beating Bobby Lashley at Elimination Chamber, and that was going to lead to Brock against Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania, and that's why Bray Wyatt did that interview calling out the winner. But after they did that, they had to change the finish." And speaking of WrestleMania matches, we have an update on the status of 16-time world champion John Cena, as WWE would last night release a new poster for Mania 39, with it featuring many top names, one of those being the leader of the C Nation. This seemingly confirms his involvement in the show, with him set to return to Monday Night Raw next week, with the show going down in Boston, which is of course Cena's home state of Massachusetts. Many expect a segment to put him on the path towards his reported upcoming match with Austin Theory at the event, who himself has teased a confrontation. Now, going back to the WrestleMania poster, there are some other interesting names present, including Snoop Dogg, who looks to have some kind of hosting or performing role on the Hollywood show. Marco Stunt is a name longtime AEW fans will remember, with him being a member of the roster from the company's first show in May 2019 up until his exit last year in June 2022. Taking to Twitter this week, Stunt would discuss his recent absence from wrestling, with him having not wrestled since the GCW Take a Picture event in January 2023. Marco would detail some health issues that he's been suffering with as of late, and noted, "Wanted to give everyone an update. I haven't been super active on here and there's some reasons. I've been dealing with a lot of pain recently in my lower back and ended up doing something to agitate it more. After going to the doctor and getting x-rays, they noticed that I have a fracture in my vertebrae as well as rotated vertebrae. They also noticed a disc being squeezed out of the side like toothpaste, how they described it. As of right now, I'm still going to the doctor's appointments and figuring things out. I'm not sure what's going to happen next, but I'd like to thank everyone that supported me over my career. I've suffered quite a few injuries that have taken their toll on me, but I'm hoping to recover and come back better than ever. I'm keeping my head up." Ariane Andrews, the former Cameron in WWE, would appear in a virtual signing with Golden Ring Collectibles this week, where she discussed the status of her former tag team partner Naomi. Real name Trinity Fatu, Naomi would walk out on WWE in May 2022 after a creative disagreement with then management alongside Sasha Banks, not to be seen since, with the latter since leaving the company in favor of a move to New Japan Pro Wrestling. Ariane would reveal that Trinity is currently recovering from surgery, which has prevented her from making her next move, with her noting, "So she is recovering from shoulder surgery, and I want her to answer the question for herself of what's next for her. I know she's recovering from shoulder surgery, but I'm super proud of her. That's my sister from another mister, and I think you have to ask her for yourself how she's feeling. See if her shoulder is feeling good, because she's recovering right now. Ask her that question." This past weekend, the first Ring of Honor television taping of the Tony Khan era would take place from Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida, where ROH Pure Champion Wheeler Yuta would call out popular New Japan Pro Wrestling star Katsuyori Shibata for a title match, with the two seemingly set to meet at some point in the near future. Shibata hasn't actually wrestled for New Japan since Wrestle Kingdom 16 in January 2022, this after a 4-year absence from wrestling due to a serious concussion. Whilst he has since worked a match for AEW in November 2022 and on a later Antonio Inoki tribute show, the reason for his lack of New Japan in-ring time has seemingly been revealed. According to Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio, the Japanese promotion feels that Shibata double-crossed them during his last match with the company, which was originally scheduled to be an exhibition bout, with it instead turning into a full-fledged match on the fly, leading to backstage officials freaking out. Due to him not being fully cleared at the time, this has led to heat with the promotion, with it possible that he may not even be under contract with New Japan since he's working outside dates. And before we get to the rest of today's stories, be sure to subscribe to Wrestle Planet if you haven't done so already, as we aim to hit 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And also head over to Wrestle Planet Gaming if you're into wrestling video games, ahead of the launch of both AEW Fight Forever and WWE 2K23. But with that said, let's get to the rest of the video. This week, former AEW World Champion Kenny Omega would appear on the Sessions podcast with Renee Paquette, where the executive vice president of the company would discuss his management role. Much like we saw with Cody Rhodes, who eventually left the company in favor of a move to WWE, Omega seems to miss the days of simply being a talent in the locker room without the added responsibility that comes with an EVP role, with him noting, "The AEW EVP role makes me miss the days when I could roll up with my carry bag and be like, alright, let's just worry about the match that we have tonight. And the match is over and it's like, okay, that's it, it's over. That's where the stress starts and ends with your own performance, and now there's so much more that goes into it. And though our various roles, they do have limits of course. I mean, we don't do everything. We have more of an infrastructure and we have people that do have roles and jobs within the company. So it's not like we are as busy as we were in year one. However, there are still things that we have to do all the time, and are still things that prevent us from being the people that we used to be." With Kenny Omega's contract due at some stage this year, it'll be interesting to see how his feelings on the EVP role will come into play, whether that be sticking around in AEW as just a wrestler or perhaps going elsewhere. Bullet Club leader Jay White would recently lose a Loser Leaves Japan match to Hikuleo before then falling short in a Loser Leaves New Japan match against AEW's Eddie Kingston at the Battle in the Valley event in San Jose, California. The losses followed reports that his New Japan Pro Wrestling contract was coming to an end, although the exact date that it ended was unknown. Well, in an update from the Super J-Cast podcast today, Switchblade is now officially a free agent, able to sign with another wrestling company as soon as he pleases, and they would note, per sources, Jay White's contract with NJPW has expired and he is set to leave the company. On top of the reports, it's worth noting that New Japan are advertising today as the last day you can purchase Jay White-themed merchandise from their official store, another sign that he is officially out of the door. What his next move will be remains to be seen, although there is said to be significant interest from WWE in acquiring his services, with AEW and Impact Wrestling also monitoring the situation. And let's get back to last night's episode of AEW Dynamite and the Face of the Revolution ladder match, a match that saw Eddie Kingston and Ortiz not take part, despite being advertised. It was noted on commentary that the two men had come to blows backstage prior to the match, leading to them being separated by officials. Well, after the show came to a close, Kingston would request some time to give a statement on the matter through a video on social media that saw him quit All Elite Wrestling altogether, with him stating, "I quit AEW, peace." The Angle appears to be setting up an appearance on tonight's return episode of Ring of Honor Television, which will air on Honor Club, with Eddie being a big part of the recent tapings and seemingly for now an exclusive member of the ROH roster. And before you go, make sure you check out 10 more upcoming wrestling free agents that you need to know.